a
look
simple
like?
guy. I'd go with the One Ring again, you know.
Yeah,
That's
me
my
too.
wedding ring is basically the One Ring.
My first question for you guys is, from season one to season two, it's a massive jump, not just in story, but like in production and just like everything in general. For instance, like, now that the groundwork's laid down, um, everything's hitting the ground running. So I'm curious for you guys on the technical side, and this includes like filming locations changing. What was the mindset? What was the pressure like going into a brand new season with a bunch of things changing and shifting?
I mean, I think it was less pressure in terms of kind of I think it was more just like letting the scripts lead us
Mm.
and kind of informing our decisions based on where the story was going, which was exciting because it is actually quite different from season one. It allowed us to kind of embrace, I think, the aesthetic that both of us really respond to, which is a more grounded aesthetic, a little bit grittier, a little bit grimier, and feeling, letting Middle Earth kind of get under your fingernails a little bit more. And so that was something we embraced and was, excited to do.
And season one was very much about was the setup also. It was like a very, I mean, a lot of presentation of everything. So we were just able to destroy everything now.
Yeah, we're good at that.
Yeah.
We've done that a few times now on the show. We blow
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. You're definitely. Charlotte, this question is actually for you specifically. You direct the first and the last episode of this season. So I'm very curious, what's the pressure like bookending a season with the premiere? You have to catch everyone up from 2 years ago, which they might have forgotten, but also setting up 7 episodes of television. And in the finale, you have to wrap up 7 episodes of television. What's the challenge for that, to do that as a director like?
At first, I mean, I'm not writing it, so I'm lucky enough to have scripts. So I mean, it really is, but it's very interesting to be able to set it up. I mean, to do the first and the last one, because you can pay. I mean, I can play with setup and payoffs. So there was stuff that I was setting up and keeping in mind that I had shot in episode one that I wanted to use in eight as a payoff. And one of them obviously was the way Adar's death, which was a mirror of what he does to Sauron in episode one, for instance. So
Yes.
we had, I mean, we had a lot of that, and you're there for a whole year also because you are doing the beginning and the end. You hang, I mean, you shoot the beginning throughout, and then you prep for the last one. So you feel like you're never leaving Middle Earth. And the fact that you have a long period of time helps you to get into the world more, into the characters, and then you do also you have time to do a lot of post production.
Yeah, definitely. Alex, I love your work on this series. It's visually stunning. I'm curious, could you tell me a little bit about your working relationship with Charlotte? Like, how early do you guys start looking at like the episodes that you're going to be shooting and that she's going to be directing, trying to figure out what's going to look best? Like, tell me a bit about that.
Sure. I mean, Charlotte and I now have worked together. We just did a count earlier. It was like 240 days of
Well,
shooting on this show between season one and two, and so we know each other really well. We're collaborators, we're friends, and we're very honest with each other, which I think brings out the best in us because we can really be take a critical but not negative look at the work being done and kind of push each other. And I so it starts early. It starts right away. She's such an amazing collaborator. I think everyone, I know that all the actors will say the same thing. You're very generous uh filmmaker. And so we kind of she encourages everybody to kind of bring their best to the table. And we from day one we just kind of dive in, look at the script, break it down together, bounce back, ideas back and forth. And it's always kind of the best idea wins. And that's not just between Charlotte and myself, it's every department. And I think it fosters this environment of everyone wanting to bring their best work to the table because they're kind of being led by somebody they really respect and aren't, it's a great environment.
that's wonderful to hear. I really liked hearing that. Something that really draws me and a lot of other people to the Lord of the Rings lore is its giant ensembles. So I'm curious for you, Alex, and for you, Charlotte, individually, which character were you most excited to shoot, and which one were you most excited to direct?
You want to go first?
Yeah, well, it's hard to say because it keeps changing. I feel like in this whole season, it's been very exciting to shoot Sauron because he has with because I mean, when you see Charlie Vickers in real life, you wouldn't even, I mean, he looks so
Unreal.
nice, so normal, so you wouldn't even recognize all these looks he could get. And to
Not at
actually
all.
to create that dangerous character and that danger with his looks and his smiles and this very cruel side to him was actually very exciting, I think. And reading the scenes and knowing that Charlie would basically do them, be in them, play them, made it, I mean, was amazing actually. And then, I mean, you have Charles Edwards, Kelly Brimbo is incredible. You have Elrond, I mean, Rob on the battlefield, who starts off as a politician and ends like a crazy warrior. And you have Galadriel, who's you get all this emotion side is coming out of her, and Adar is an incredible. So I can't say that there is one over the other. Depends of the day and the scenes, and it's actually a pleasure to go to set and to see these incredible sets and work with these people every day.
Yeah, I mean, one of the joys of the show is that you get to kind of play in so many different worlds. You know, one day you're making almost like a Western in a desert environment, and then the next day you're, in the royal palace in Numenor, and the next day after that you're on a battlefield. So, just selfishly as a filmmaker, you to be able to play with all those kind of environments is really fun. And personally, I loved the journey visually of Celebrimbor and Sauron, the disintegration of the Forge and his own mind,
Everything.
and being able to kind of create that. And by the end, it's just so sad and where he's broken. And that was a fun piece to play with.
He got fooled by his own vanity. He
Yeah.
wanted to be by flattery.
And one more thing before I go. So I'm from Toronto, and we have our own little Comic-Con thing here called Fan Expo. And this year they had a booth to promote the Rings of Power where fans could actually come and make their own Rings of Power in like die-cast epoxy molds.
Wow.
So I'm curious for each of you, if you could make your own Ring of Power, what would you want it to look like? Like the color, the design? What would it
I'm a
look
simple
like?
guy. I'd go with the One Ring again.
Yeah,
That's
me
my
too.
wedding ring is basically the One Ring. So,
Yeah, me too.
That's
One ring.
awesome. That's awesome to hear. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. Your work on this series, both of you, it's absolutely incredible. And I'm so excited for the world to see the last two episodes. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.